Long-time fans of the channel will know that the Remnant from the Ashes video was one of my worst backlashes ever for a channel that had like 28 subs. Long live the day when someone called me a little boy and told me to come back to reviewing videos when my balls drop. I got told to fuck off a lot, like proportionally. Fans of Remnant are beyond unhinged. But one single actual human being in the comments actually was a really good laugh, and in their infinite generosity suggested I try Chronos before the Ashes, which was Remnant's predecessor. It took me a while, like a year and a half, but I gave it a go, and it's definitely alright. The weirdest thing about Chronos was that it was originally made for VR, not ported as a simple non-VR game until several years later, but why? The game is played in third person. I wondered if the game originally played in first person, but going back and checking gameplay, the game was always in third person, even back when it was just on VR. That must be so weird to play, and forcing you to buy a VR headset just to play it is definitely one of the highest prices of entry I've ever seen. It definitely seemed to work best in third person with a basic controller, how I played it, but who knows, maybe it's secretly a 10 out of 10 in VR. Chronos Before the Ashes is essentially a more stripped back Remnant, which is exactly what you'd expect for a game that was made before Remnant, like, literally. This game is the foundation upon which Remnant was built, the most surprising detail of that being that the game is played entirely in melee, swords, axes, etc., being that melee was, for me, the worst part of Remnant, and something I avoided entirely unless I was completely out of ammo. Upgrades are very simple. It's not an upgrade tree as much as it is an upgrade road. One linear pathway, incremental numbers of shards to upgrade once. Upgrading causes damage to increase, extremely simple, which for someone who despises learning intricate systems with lots of branching pathways, ahem, Monster Hunter World, worked just fine for me. The combat in Chronos is extremely simple. You have one or two attacks, and stringing attacks together forms simple combos. As you play through the game, you unlock 4 different chargeable abilities called Dragon Stones or Dragon Hearts or something, I can't remember. One sets your sword ablaze, one shocks enemies, one acts as lifesteal, and one gives you a shield. These weren't mechanics I really engaged with on my first playthrough, which was on easy, but on heroic difficulty they absolutely make or break your experience, which I will get to, I assure you. Beyond that, you can block and parry, dodge roll, etc. The animations are extremely stiff. For example, healing, which has your character stop moving, put their weapon away, reach into their back pocket, pull out a heal, hold it in front of them, activate the heal, then put it back into their pocket again, then take their weapon out again. Your health doesn't just blip back up to max either. It recharges over a few seconds, and if you get hit at any point during that, it cancels the animation and the heal, and you have to try again. See, the trick about this game is that the combat is very slow. Most of the enemies have a few basic attacks with some absurdly telegraphed wind-ups, and their larger attacks have some laughable cooldowns, so you actually have more than enough time to pull off ridiculous heals like this. And it is one of those games where combat feels like it could be faster, but it's not. When you play this, you have to learn to slow down and play at the game speed, or you're going to tilt so hard that you cry. And that does involve a lot of patience. There are 5 levels in this game, some big stone castle belonging to a population called the Krell, some expansive web of tree houses home to some goat-looking bipeds called the Pan, then a massive crumbling labyrinth suspended in space, then Ward 13, which is where most of the context and story lives, and the final boss themselves. Oh, that's 4 levels, never mind. The architecture is revisited in Remnant with slightly more story layered on top, so it's nice to go back and visit all these places again in their infancy. Every level feels like a significant step up difficulty-wise from the last, but you level up so quickly just from killing basic enemies at the start that you soon balance out. No matter the difficulty, there's no way you reach that isn't surmountable after about 10 minutes of power leveling effort and a few ability boosting death. Everything is sufficiently balanced and the game can easily be finished within 8 hours, so it's a worthwhile journey to embark on. Speaking of deaths, however, this game has a very unique aging mechanic that this team absolutely wimped out on, and I am so disappointed in them. So in Chronos, Before the Ashes, every time you die, your character ages 1 year. They start the game aged 18, and the maximum age you can reach is 90. That's 72 deaths you're permitted by this game over the course of an 8-hour experience. That's a lot of deaths that, unless you're challenge running heroic mode on your very first playthrough, you're not going to need to worry about. Age is separate from your level, but the two do impact each other. As you grow, your stat boosts per character level per change. For example, at younger ages your character will have higher strength, but when they get older they'll gain arcane boosts instead. Every 10 deaths you get a permanent ability to add to your build. Higher arcane defense, faster heals, more base health, etc. And on heroic difficulty these can really turn a tide, especially against the final boss who hits like a truck and has one of the worst fire-breathing hitboxes I've ever seen, often one-shotting me when I was stood at his shoulder or off to the side. I think any space in front of his face counts as a death box or something because I was feeding and tilting and feeding and tilting. So as I died and died and died and died and began to veer so worryingly close to level 90, my anxiety started to creep in. Will there be one mega ability waiting for me at age 90? And from then on, if I die again, do I die forever? Like, an 8-hour game with 70 lives is pretty fair. From then on, it's a one-life run, permadeath, right? But with my cards stacked as well as they can be in my favor. When I died again to that horrible final boss, I just respawned, but I hadn't aged. That's right, once you get to level 90, the aging mechanic just stops. You stay at that level forever. Chronos Before the Ashes is a fun game. It's well packaged, pretty tightly constructed game with good level design, a sufficient UI and in-game guidance, and some of the most cowardly designers I've ever encountered. Patch in permadeath, you frauds. Let me live my misery.